All right, so my name's Jason. This is Wednesday night against the Stream Buddhist Meditation Center, where we teach about Buddhism and the teachings of the Buddha and do some meditation. And that's why it's called the Buddhist Meditation Center. And so we're here, we're live, both on Zoom, but also in person. So if you want to come down on Mondays or Wednesdays, feel free. Yeah, let's sit and meditate. But maybe before that, just to kind of open up, like, is there anyone that's willing to, unmute yourself or raise your hand and just say hi? Let us know what brings you here. Seems like mostly familiar suspects. All right. Well, there'll be time to chat a bit a little bit later. Actually, gonna take these off because there's just a glare. All right. Yeah, let's meditate. Let's sit for a bit. Okay, Preston, I see that. Welcome. So just kind of settling in, let's just take a moment or two, whatever's been happening in your day, your busy day. Just you can allow the eyes to close or be downcast. And just arriving here. This breath. This body. This present time experience. Perhaps opening to the different sounds. Sounds outside the room. Sounds inside the room. Perhaps just do a mental check-in. What's this day been like? Just let the mind kind of roam in a review of the day. Perhaps checking in with the feeling tones. And then in some way, just aiming the attention towards this experience of breathing. Picking a point, tip of the nose or rise and fall of the belly, where you can really aim the attention. A soft focus on this experience of breathing. allowing thoughts and sounds, feelings, sensations to just arise and pass away through our experience. Each breath arising, staying for a time, and passing away. Sounds come and go, thoughts, memories, all just part of the passing parade. And we just stay here. Of course, whenever we recognize that the attention has wandered off, with that sense of friendliness or kindness with the mind, aiming the attention back. A gentle, mindful recommitment to this present time experience. If you find that the mind is busy, agitated, restless, seeing if you can shift the attention down towards the belly. Bring some more awareness into the body, finding that place of stillness. If the body feels restless or agitated, aiming the attention closer to the tip of the nose. Allow that to be the focus. Allowing the breath to be an anchor into this present time experience. Breath is only happening here, constantly changing, born, staying for a while, and passing away, like all things. Perhaps expanding the awareness from the breath to the breath in the body. Experiencing this body sitting, the sensations present. Perhaps breathing into any sensations that you are experiencing. Perhaps expanding out to the feeling tones, the sense experience of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, and all of the sense doors, so the breath, thoughts, sounds, sensations in the body, even tastes and sights, smells. Just gently noting pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Even expanding this concentrated and mindful awareness to the mind itself, as a thought arises or a story plays out. Just acknowledging pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, and then aiming the attention back, using the anchor of the breath. Kind of like the question, what's happening here? In this final phase of this meditation practice, perhaps opening to the hindrances that are present or have been present, knowing when they're arising, knowing when they're present, knowing when they're not present. This wanting or craving, this aversion or sleepiness. Perhaps there's restlessness, agitation. Perhaps there's doubt. Just acknowledging what's present and then aim the attention back, relaxing into each new breath, observing what arises, allowing whatever arises to stay for a time and pass away, as all things do. a final reflection from the Buddha. This, monks, is the noble truth of the cause of suffering. It is that craving, compelling, intoxicating, which causes us to be born into things again and again, ever seeking fresh delight, now here, now there. It is namely the craving for sensual delight, the craving to be something, and the craving to feel nothing. Thanks for sitting with me. I need to use the bathroom. So take a moment and reflect on what came up for you during this last sit as we went through the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And I'll be right back. Tell them. I have to tell them all. I'm back. Oh, I just got up to go to the bathroom, and I just totally fell. My leg gave out because I had a numb leg, and I felt like I could put weight on it, but I was wrong. You should have seen it. People in here thought I was having a seizure, but I'm not. All right, welcome back. Thanks for bearing with me. Hopefully there was a little time for reflection there. We'll open up for some more discussion in a bit. But I kind of want to just jump right into this topic, which is really the quote that I read there at the end as a form of reflection. It's one of my favorite translations of the Second Noble Truth, and it's translated by Ajahn Amaro from the Buddha's original, teachings in the Samyutta Nikaya. So I'll read it again, and then we'll break it down, and we're going to kind of work with this theme of craving a bit. So this says, "This, monks, is the noble truth of the cause of suffering. It is that craving, compelling, intoxicating, which causes us to be born into things again and again, ever seeking fresh delight, now here, now there. It is namely the craving for sensual delight, the craving to be something, and the craving to feel nothing." Just think about that for a moment. Like, what does that evoke in you? Maybe we can even open up for just, does anyone want to share what that evokes for you when you hear that? Craving, compelling, intoxicating, born into things again and again, right? You can raise your hand in the participants box, or you can just unmute yourself if somebody wants to share what comes up for them. Go ahead, Preston.
Sure. Thanks, Jason. I really liked that quote, and it feels like something that's been top of mind for me recently. I recently started reading Against the Stream for the first time, and I really like the section in the beginning that kind of breaks down how we get brought back into the cycle of samsara over and over again, and how things like take form, or there's a thing that happens when we attach to an idea or a sensation or something like that. I really like that idea, and there's been once or twice where I have like seen it happening as it's happening, and it's really cool. But
it's cool when you can catch that. It doesn't happen all the time, but great.
Yeah, and then there's all the times that I don't catch it all the time, and then I just live in that. For example, I've been craving nicotine a lot recently, and I find that very difficult to manage. And I'm running out of this, pack of cigarettes that I have, and I'm telling myself now, okay, not going to buy another one when I run out. But I'm like, wow, that's going to be tough. And so I'm not looking forward to that. But that quote got me thinking about that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, hopefully the rest of the talk will also be helpful, as we're going to talk about craving. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Yeah, Andrea. Sorry, I forgot your name.
Yeah, hi, no, Andrea, thank you. And I really liked the quote too. It just really resonated. And yeah, just thinking of all the different incarnations of the way this has shown up in my life, through different phases, like childhood, and the general theme is like craving to be something and it's for me just like craving to be good enough, right? in whatever stage of life that is and whatever that looks like. And then the craving to feel nothing, like, just using different things in different times in my life to try not to feel, so whether it's like substances or sleeping a lot or, television or, and so like I'm not indulging in those things, right now, currently, but like this current incarnation is, I'm at a new job, right? And so I'm craving to be good enough at this new job. And since I'm not indulging in these substances, like I'm just stuck with the aversion, like I'm craving not to feel all the anxiety that I'm feeling, but I'm not checking out with all these behaviors. So I'm just like suffering repeatedly over and over because I'm just stuck in this craving. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. So it just, I did like a quick flash life review and I could just see the theme over and over and over again. So whether it's like, reincarnation, different lives, or just throughout your lifetime.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for that. We'll open up again. So what happened is what I hoped would happen. And we'll open up again for some more reflections, but I want to kind of break down this teaching, which, sounds like those of you who spoke anyway, and probably the rest of you get, because it's such a good translation of this, what I think of as addiction, it's just, what is this craving, right? That causes us, to be drawn into things, pulled into things, kind of like Preston was saying, as he was talking about, dependent origination, really. And what is the crux of the cause of our suffering the Buddha is pointing to is called tanha, or craving. It's also talked about as a translation. The word tanha can be translated as craving, can be translated as the unquenchable thirst, which I really like that one too, especially for the alcoholics in the house, and attachment, being attached to an outcome, or even this idea of craving to be something or to be someone, or as was talked about, to be good enough, or the craving to feel nothing, right, to kind of push away or to numb out this. So then there's this grasping is also a way of talking about tanha. And then desire. Now desire is a little bit sticky because, and I'll break it down a little bit more, but we want to think about what we mean when we say desire, and how is desire different from craving. So I'll talk a little bit about that. There's three aspects to really understanding all of the Four Noble Truths. There are three aspects to be understood. And one is that there is an origin of suffering. So knowing the origin of suffering, so understanding the craving, which is attachment or craving, right? And then that the second piece is that craving should be let go of. So in the instruction, I was talking to you guys about, if you notice a hindrance come up, sleepiness, or some type of craving or aversion, or even with the feeling tones, to know that it's there is the first piece, right? To be aware, which is kind of a little bit of what Preston was talking about, but then that craving should be let go of. So knowing that we can release the grasp, and then that craving has been let go of. So the knowing of it passing away. So there's the arising, the presence of, and then the passing away, or the letting go of and the passing away. So this is the process that's unfolding in our minds, really in every moment. And, most of the time, we're just unaware of it. And what I love about this practice is it, insight is an accident of the mind. When we have these moments of insight, it's kind of like an accident. And meditation makes us accident prone. meditation makes us or allows us to be able to see these kind of glitches in the matrix, these kind of like, oh yeah, it's not all about just like getting things and seeking pleasurable experiences and avoiding unpleasurable experiences. Maybe there's more here than, sometimes you hear me talk about like the way that a dog is just, uh, a prisoner to its senses, to its nose, just smells, just can't help it. It's so sensitive that it just, gets overwhelmed, right? So that being said, there's three kinds of desire. There's the craving for sensual pleasure. There's the craving for becoming someone, and craving to get rid of something. And this is, again, what's kind of illuminated in this quote, which is why I like it so much. So this kind of craving for sense pleasure, this becoming someone, and this craving to get rid of. So this is what we contemplate, right? This is the origin of suffering. It's this attachment or this craving or desire. Desire is not the best word, and so I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but I just wanted to kind of talk about, I'm going to break some of these things down. So sense pleasure. I think we all know what sense pleasures are, right? And basically from the Buddhist perspective, it's the 6 sense doors. So smelling, seeing, touching, tasting, hearing, thinking, that which is pleasing. And then many of us have a tendency to, and even maybe some of us have more of a tendency to kind of think, like wanting to generate thoughts of pleasant, it's kind of fantasy, or it can even be a little bit like a reduction of anxiety, is to kind of seek pleasurable thoughts as a way to get rid of the other. So just something about, kind of one of the ways to work with this sense pleasure and the craving is around eating. We all eat regularly, hopefully. And the slowing down and utilizing eating meditation practice, and really, even giving attention to what you're eating, why you're eating it. And then as you're eating it, really, like, even if it's like, even I used to do this with like a little Hershey's Kiss. Like I would take a Hershey's Kiss and just place it in my mouth and let it lay on my tongue until it melted. And then just really feel all of the, pleasurable experiences coming from the sweetness of the chocolate. Or sometimes I've done that with like oranges or like chocolate covered strawberries. So it could be an exercise in eating and really enjoying the pleasurable experience of it. And then even noticing, I don't know if you've ever been really hungry and really enjoying your food, that you're thinking about your next bite as you're eating the first bite, like that kind of anticipatory, give me more, give me more. So that's just one way to kind of work with that sense pleasure. And, there's nothing wrong with sense pleasures. And this is what I kind of mean when I talk about the difference between desire and craving. We're going to have sense pleasures. And one of the ways that we talk about this in here at Against the Stream, one of the ways Noah talks about it, I think in Against the Stream, maybe in Heart of the Revolution, is this idea of non-attached appreciation. So if we can learn to appreciate when something is pleasant or good or enjoyable, but then not have the grasping or the clinging to it, right? So that's the work to be done. So the next kind of piece is becoming, and this is kind of a dual. It's like the becoming and the getting rid of, right? So the first thing, we get caught in the realm of kind of ambition and attainment, this desire to become something. Right. If only I was, then I would be, this kind of leaning forward that there's something not quite right with what's happening here and now. And so there's this kind of ambition, this attainment. And I've even seen it happen, around meditation, so we get caught up in that movement, right? Striving to become happy, seeking to become wealthy, or to make our life feel important by kind of endeavoring to make the world right too. This is like if the world is right, then I'll be happy and content. If everyone is, if the world peace is, happens, or if everyone gets along, or if there's no racism or no sexism or no, whatever, any of it, right? Any of the isms, if there isn't any ism, then I'll be happy. And that's, it's a bit of a setup, right, for all of it. So to note that this is all an attempt to become something other than we are right now, or to have the world be other than it is right now. So a couple examples that I think about, I've given a few of them already, but I want to practice meditation so I can become free from pain. It was kind of my ambition in the beginning, not a bad ambition, right? I want to become enlightened. So I can be free from suffering, or I want to enjoy sense pleasures without having to give up anything. So that's that kind of cake and eat it too, right? And then I want to be able to have all the fun and sense pleasures and still become enlightened. That's a little bit delusional, right? But it comes up. These kind of things come up in the mind, and there can be desires. They're sometimes what people call wholesome desires and unwholesome, or skillful and unskillful desires. So a skillful desire is learning to meditate to want to alleviate pain. I think that's a skillful desire. But to be grasping or craving to, this is what I have to do, that can be problematic, So this kind of getting rid of, the opposite of kind of grasping, right? The pushing away. When we get disillusioned with trying to become something, then there is also the desire to get rid of other things. So if I become enlightened so that I can, no longer experience the hindrances, pain, or even, the suffering, then that's a pushing away and not an allowing of what the experience is. It actually tends to get in the way. So some examples of I want to get rid of my suffering. So I want to get rid of my anger or my jealousy or my fear or my anxiety. And it's all pushing away, which is actually not transformative. It's just the opposite of grasping. And so this is, I think what's profound about the Buddhist teachings. And I think what gets a little bit confusing for people sometimes is that instead of trying to get rid of, we're actually asked to acknowledge what is present, as it is. And the difference between pain and suffering is what we do when we experience it. We're not going to stop experiencing pain. I just experienced pain a few minutes ago. I got up and I tried to walk before my leg was fully had blood, in the feet, and I fell and I twisted my ankle. It wasn't the worst pain. It was a little bit embarrassing, big deal. But just to kind of, okay, this is what's happening right now. It's like this, and even just the feeling of wanting to get rid of something, opening to that too. That's another aspect of this teaching, of this practice. And so even that kind of pushing away, that's the feel nothing, I either want to be something or feel nothing, and we can get caught in these. The traditional translation of that is the craving for existence and the craving for non-existence. So these are both problematic, right? So the craving to be somebody, is the craving for existence, which keeps us kind of also bound in the cycle of suffering. And then the craving for non-existence, which for some people is I want to check out, maybe suicide, or just give up completely, or put in zero kind of effort, I want to be numb. I think a classic example of addiction, right? So this idea of I have to get rid of or conquer all my desires, this is just another craving. It's just another wanting something to be other than it is. So letting go of desire is a process, right? Of seeing it clearly, and allowing it to be kind of a part of ourselves, without rejecting or grasping. And this is, there's this piece in modern psychology where things happen. It's also kind of in trauma psychology where some things happen to us in our experience. Some things are painful, some things are hard to, kind of experience. And so what happens is that we separate from them. We, in parts practice or in internal family systems practice, it's called the disavowing, right? We're disavowing this part. So this emotional pain part or this, memory of abuse part gets disavowed. And then that's also problematic because then we have to have energy to keep pushing it away. Because really what I experience, and I think that the Dharma talks about, is this idea of harmony, of integration, of homeostasis. This body wants to find balance. This mind wants to find balance, equanimity, right? So just another kind of view, right? It's not helpful to beat ourselves up over our desires. And this is what I meant by we have to be, desires they're natural. We have natural desires. And some of them are, base desires, and some of them are, higher attaining desires, but they're not all bad, And so to be able to see, okay, can I notice desire? It's not about kind of identifying with the craving, but about recognizing the desire. So can I see the desire? Can I be aware of it? Even just the desire to satiate hunger, or even the desire to want to use nicotine, right? And then not allow it to be a craving. So not allow it to kind of have that grasping, which is challenging, especially if have a tendency, a habitual habit of doing that, right? So yeah, so we have to be careful, not to get into this hellfire or brimstone kind of desires are bad and have to be getting rid of. And I think that Buddhism in some ways gets a bit of a bad rap, which is why I wanted to really focus on this second noble truth with this kind of it's about getting rid of things. And, yes, there's renunciation, and sometimes we need to renounce certain behaviors or certain kind of addictions in order to be able to gain some, power over them, really, in order to kind of gain our system back. When I was smoking crack cocaine, I didn't do anything else. I just smoked crack cocaine, because that had hijacked my whole system. I mean, I literally wouldn't even eat except for I would go to 7-Eleven every once in a while and get a 89-cent chicken sandwich. Literally, that's all I would eat. Maybe maybe a Slurpee or something, and then back to the crack rock. I mean, that was a reality at that point. And that was a different incarnation. Talking about born into things. When I was able to let go of that very strong craving. And then other desires came, and the other cravings have come. And so I'm just using that as a very extreme example. But hopefully you're getting what I'm kind of talking about. Yeah. So I was just saying we have to be careful, right? Not to get into this kind of good, bad, that desires are bad. I think desires need to be recognized. We need to see them as desire. And then with an insightful, calm, collected mind, make an educated decision, or make a, kind of insightful decision. So yeah, so this is the, the line in the quote, right? The craving to feel nothing, more grasping, more suffering. Grasping is suffering. When we're clinging to a desire or a sensual pleasure, or when we're trying to kind of get rid of, we're causing a layer of suffering for ourselves. And letting go is so useful and important. letting go of, and it's kind of like in the instruction, what I gave tonight and I give often is relax, observe, allow. So relax into, allows us to kind of settle into whatever the experience is happening here and now. And then observing, that's that mindful awareness of internal and external, kind of internal and external experiences. And then the allow is to see that we can have thoughts that arise and pass away, and that craving doesn't have to grab hold of it, that we can allow thoughts to pass through, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, and this comes through the experience, right? If we can listen to our desires with wisdom and not craving, then they can lead to great insight. And there's a practice, Ayasan Tusaka, one of the nuns in our lineage, practiced, and then also I think her name is Lama Sultram. She's one of and in the Vajrayana practice, one of the elder female Westerners, and she actually wrote a book called Feeding Your Demons. And this practice of feeding your demons is pretty much what I was just saying. It's this kind of seeing the desire, but not, not feeding it, and then allowing it to arise and pass away. And so you can see it's in the idea, it's feeding your demons. In other words, kind of letting it be known, letting it be seen, without getting into the craving, so that we can watch the allowing and the passing away. Yeah, it's more like kind of setting them down than really just letting them go, right? And letting them be rather than trying to get rid of. And so even just noticing desire sometimes, even just that thought, the idea of kind of let go, just let go. Like how hard is that? That's not easy, right? Just let go of the craving to use nicotine. I struggle with that myself, and just let it go. And that sounds easy, but it can be hard. So this idea of like, can we set them down? Can we let this, in this moment, can we let this desire be? Rather than trying to get rid of it or disavow. So this is, it's not intellectual. I mean, we're talking about it intellectually, but it's very much experiential, which is hopefully what I was pointing to in this practice. Yeah. So this is kind of the dance also, this kind of be somebody or feel nothing is also this kind of selfing versus not selfing. So the idea of selfing is when where I am this person, I am doing this is who I am, and we're kind of constantly layering ourselves with these kind of ideas of who we are. And then that feeds into that kind of desire. And, oh, if I'm that kind of person, then I need to do this kind of thing. And the not selfing is this kind of letting go or backing away. And it can be very freeing,